Central Baptist coming off a banner season, 28 wins last year, capped off by a big upset win at Oklahoma Wesleyan in Kansas City. Coach Sam Kohnke, he's lining them up. They're getting ready to make another run there in the American Midwest Conference. We're going to talk to Sam Kohnke, head coach at Central Baptist. Cascade Hoops Talk starts right now. We met Sam Kohnke last season down in Kansas City. Central Baptist really opened a lot of eyes, especially with that big win against Oklahoma Wesleyan. I talked to Coach Kohnke about it, but Wade Williams in that Oklahoma Wesleyan game, he was really something special. He's coming back this year as a junior. This is a guy who'll take just about any shot and has the ability to make it. They graduate Deshaun Corprew. He was really the heart and soul of the team last year, but they got Sage Bourbon and aforementioned Wade Williams and a score of other coach will talk about the returners coming back. They're going to be competitive again this year. Coach Kohnke's teams are very fun to watch. They play with a lot of emotion. They get after it. They play hard. The way you like to watch basketball be played. Fun team to watch. So let's listen to Sam Kohnke. He's the head men's basketball coach, Central Baptist Mustangs. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. I got Sam Kohnke. He's the head men's basketball coach, Central Baptist. They're the Mustangs down there in Conway, Arkansas. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing good, Bill. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for your coverage of our guys. I really appreciate it.
Well, I know it's a busy time of year for you and every other coach in the country, and thank you for taking the time. I want to talk about your program, a little bit about your background, but let's talk about last season. It was kind of a dream season for Central Baptist. Also for you, you're a relatively young guy, but you had 28 wins. It was the most wins, if I'm right, the most wins in program history. You were the American Midwest Coach of the Year, and you had the AMC, I'm reading now, AMC tournament MVP was Bourbon, Sage Bourbon, and Sixth Man of the Year Harding, and you had a third team All-American in Deshaun Corprew. It just all seemed to come together for you last year, didn't it? Just talk about last season.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a good way to put it. Last year was my third year as a head coach. I was assistant for 1 year before that under Clint Gallion. My first year, obviously, we had some things go on and figuring it all out my first year. And so, a lot of ups and downs. And then second year took a big step. And then, like you said, kind of all came together last year a little bit. We had a really good team, really good players, not just good players, but good people who cared about winning. A lot of guys in the social media era, they're more stat driven and highlight driven and me driven. But we just had a group who just, kind of an old school group who just cared about winning, whatever it took. They didn't really care who scored or who did this or who did that. They just wanted to win the game. So really good group. And, we're losing some key guys. And, like you said, Deshaun Corprew, All-American. And I said it last year. I thought, he might be the best player in the country. And I still believe that. He was an absolute stud. So we're losing him. He graduated. Kyle Harding graduated. Tomas McKeeska graduated. And Tonje Durham graduated as well. And those are, the guys who were on our final roster who are moving on. But it was a great year, and we're going to miss those guys. But we're returning a lot as well. So, we're really excited about this year. Just got, again, just people who have their priorities in check and are going to act the right way and do the right things and work hard for the common goal of winning and going as far as we can.
So I want to go backwards just for a second. I want to talk about, how you ended up there. So you're a young guy. It looks like you grew up in New Orleans.
Yes. Yep, yeah. Born and raised.
So when you got out, you went over to Loyola for a year, I believe. And then you went over to Millsaps up in Jackson, Mississippi. You kind of found a home there. It's a D3 school, but you had a really, really good career there. Eventually, that's where you got your first head coaching job. Just talk about your career in basketball.
Yeah, you said it right. I was at Loyola under Coach Stacey Hollowell. who is now at University of New Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
won a national championship at Loyola. Great coach, great guy. He's going to do really well at UNO, University of New Orleans. Finished my last 2 years out at Millsaps College. The first year under Coach Tim Wise, who was just an awesome guy. I really enjoyed my experience playing under him. And then the last year under Jimmy Smith, who is an awesome guy, awesome coach as well. And, I knew when I got into playing, I just love the game. There's nothing that brings me joy like basketball does. So I knew that when I finished playing that I wanted to coach. So after I graduated from Millsaps, I actually took a volunteer assistant spot under Mike Dunleavy at Tulane for summer. And then at the end of summer, Jimmy Smith called me and said, "Hey, we have an assistant spot open. I'd love to have you." And I said, "Absolutely."
Wow.
Because I had such a good experience with him. He's such an incredible person and coach, and one of the best culture builders I've ever, been around. So I got to work for him for 2 years and just learned a lot. It was good because it was a situation where I was, comfortable. I knew the team. I knew the head coach. He kind of let me go through growing pains as an assistant and learn what I like and don't like, and gave me freedom. So I just had a really good experience. We had two good years, and we kind of had like the best season that Millsaps had in over a decade was both of our final years there. And he ended up getting the Trinity, Texas head coaching job, which is an awesome job. And he's still there now, and he's doing great, making the national tournament every year. And I tried to get the head coaching job, but they ended up going a different way, which, hurt at the time. It hurt really bad because it was my alma mater, and I'd been there for, 4 years, 2 as a player, 2 as a coach. And, but man, it actually worked out really well. And so it's kind of a blessing in disguise looking back on it. I ended up coming here to CBC and working for Clint Gallion, who was a fantastic coach. And I probably learned more in that year as his assistant, just in general, probably learned more in that year than I have any other year of college basketball, just learning the ropes here. And it's a different level and different, program. So it was just a really good experience for me. And we won that year. We won the AMC tournament championship and made qualify for the national tournament. So just a good experience. And then I went to North Texas to go be a GA for Grant McCaslin right after the season ended. And I was there for about 3 or 4 months. And then the AD at Central Baptist, Lyle Middleton, called me and said, "Hey, Clint's going to Wayland Baptist. Would you like to come, be our head coach?" And that was something that I always wanted to, ever since probably after my first year as an assistant, I kind of had the itch to be a head coach. And so this opportunity arose, and, I had to jump on it. And so, like I said, first year was tough. We had kind of a mass exodus of players about 2 weeks after I took the job. And so we started pretty poorly, and then we salvaged the season. We finished 500. Learned a lot. I'll say that. Learned a lot, but it was not the most fun year for me. Then year 2, got some, kind of was able to get some guys in, and, had a solid year. We went 21-10 and made it to the AMC championship game, which we lost at Columbia. And then, last year, kind of get another class in and kind of figure out what I really want in players and want in people with my program. And obviously, like I said, had a lot of talent. Sean Corprew, Kyle Harding, some other all-conference guys, and really, took that step. And like I said, I think it was, the talent was a huge part of it, but we just had some really good people who cared about the right things. Yeah. It's been a fun journey, interesting journey, and I've just learned a lot every step of the way, and I'm just trying to just keep learning, every day, every year, just keep getting better.
Coach, a couple things out of that. I hope everybody, especially younger guys or people, if you're listening, what Coach Kohnke was talking about, I've had that same exact experience in my life where my biggest disappointment, where I didn't get a promotion that I was hoping for, my biggest disappointment turned out to be my best opportunity, because the next door opened. And, that happens so often in life, but you have to put one foot in front of the other. You have to drive forward, right? So
absolutely
take that lesson. Just always, as long as you put one foot in front of another and you work harder than the guy next to you, the good things will happen. The other thing is you've absolutely jammed a lot into just a few years. So you talked about coming and having, having some challenges, not being exactly where you wanted to be right when you kicked off. What were the things that you learned from that hardship period that you were able to bring forward and made you a better coach?
Yeah, and that's an awesome question, because I really, I learned so much from that first year where, we struggled a little bit as a team. And I just, we had some guys that were very talented. It wasn't that we didn't have, we didn't have the most talent in the country, but we had talented guys. But a lot of those talented guys, just their priorities were not in the right place. They wanted the stats. They wanted to do things outside of basketball that were detrimental to their, basketball and their academics. And it's just, at the end of the day, like, I pour, me and my staff, we really pour a lot of time and effort and energy into, our program. And it's like, I want people who are going to reciprocate. I don't want a one-way street of, where we're doing everything we can. The players, just don't really care about the success of the team. So that's, what I learned is, you got to have talent, obviously. Like, you have to have talented players. You're not going to win. It's a player's game. I think I learned that more equally, if not more important, is just getting the right people who care about the right things. And, just going to just be good, upstanding citizens who care about one another where, if we're in a tough spot, if we go through some tough times as a team, we're not going to crumble. We're not going to fold. We're just going to we're going to keep our eyes on the prize, keep our head down, keep working towards our goal. And that's, last year, we had a great year, obviously. We started the season 3-2. Like, it wasn't like we were just started 10-0 and we're off to the races. Like, we had to figure some things out, but because we had some tough-minded, resilient people who, weren't going to turn on each other or crumble under pressure, like, we were able to figure it out and just keep getting better progressively over the course of the season to where, I think second semester, when we came back from Christmas break, we really started rolling. We didn't lose a game until after we clinched the AMC. And then we lost two, the last two games, we already clinched the 1 seed. And then, we kind of kept rolling. So again, just, and that's what we talk about with our guys, just being process oriented, process focused, and just trying to just get better every single day. And whether we, win or lose a game in early November, I want to win every single game, but just understanding there's a bigger picture that we're working towards.
Let's talk about the Mustangs this season before I ask about anybody else. Wade Williams as a guy really turned some heads, especially in that Oklahoma Wesleyan game. You and I were joking about it before it started. There were so many shots he took that I just kind of shook my head and then they went in. But he's a harsh, tough competitor. Just talk a little bit about him.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Bill. And just talking about what we were just talking about, just getting the right people. I mean, Wade, before we talk about him as a player, he's just an awesome guy. Like, he's a gym rat. He's a good student. He listens, he's going to be bought in and listen to what you say. And man, he's talented too. He is really talented. He comes from an awesome family. And so he's just, when the lights get bright, that's when Wade's at his best. He's a gamer. And so, yeah, he's just, in that Oklahoma Wesleyan game, I think if I'm not mistaken, went 9 for 13 from the field. A lot of those came, clutch buckets, big time buckets. So he started the first 9 games of the season for us and was really good. And then he got hurt and was out for an extended period and then came back. Literally his first game back was our opening round of the conference tournament. And in that game, he went 9 for 10 from the field and 5 for 5 from 3. So just didn't miss a beat. And that's just who he is.
Oh, I didn't realize he came back that late.
Yeah, no, we weren't even sure we were going to get him back. And he got cleared and practiced for a couple of days. And I told him, I said, I'm going to give you about 10 to 15 minutes in the first round. And in those 15 minutes, he scored, I think, like 23 points on 10 shots. He's just an awesome guy. He's an awesome player. Yeah. And you're right. He just has a knack for putting the ball in the basket, which, you can't really teach that sometimes. You just got to have guys who can do that late shot clock, put the ball in the hole.
Well, he opened a lot of eyes that day, especially the Oklahoma Wesleyan game. We talked about your graduations. You lost some amazing basketball players. Obviously, you have Wade Williams back. Who else do you have back to build around?
Yeah, so it's we got a handful back, and I really like the group. So obviously you mentioned Wade. Sage Borbon is back, he's kind of our heart and soul of our team a little bit. And he's really taken on a leadership role, especially this so far this year. So he's back, won MVP of the conference tournament last year, scored 26 in that game, championship game. And then Jonas Carlisle is back, who was all conference last year, just very versatile, very, just an awesome player, awesome guy. Devin Foster's back, who led the AMC in block shots per game as a guard. Just a tenacious defender, very talented player, great person, hard worker. And so, those four guys, they started basically every game that, obviously Wade was hurt, but he was a starter before and after and got hurt. So, returning four guys who started basically every game that they played in. And then, we have two guys who started a handful of games as well who are back. Savon Smith, who was a freshman, all freshman AMC last year. Him and Hakeem Hancock, who had some really big games for us as well last year. They're both back. And then we had a guy who 2 years ago started some games but was hurt last year the majority of the season, Devon Jefferson, who's back. And then Dalton Alexander, who's back, and he's been working really hard. He's a good player too. Probably the most I've ever returned in my time at CBC. So, and they're all the right type of guys. We're definitely excited about those guys, and I think they'll mesh pretty well with our newcomers as well.
I think I talked to you about this last time we sat down, but I've never seen a stat sheet where a coach started so many people. I think you started 13 different people last season.
Yep. I think it ended up having like
Coach Wright. Coach Wright does that too. Coach Wright does it too. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah. But go ahead.
You're good. Yeah. I think we had 10 or 11 different leading scorers throughout the season in individual games. So no, we had some injuries last year that we had to work through. And then we had, we had a wave of the flu as well that we had to work through as well. So, we worked through it, and, it's just kind of next man up. And then, and I forgot to mention, Jarvis Lee started some games as well for us. Jarvis Lee, who's going to be fourth year in the program. He's really been working hard, and he's been really good this summer too. So before I move on, I wanted to mention him as well.
Are you kind of a coach that you don't let guys worry about who's starting because you're not afraid to mix it up?
Yeah.
Because if you look at your stat sheet, I know you're saying you had some flu and stuff, but I mean, you started a ton of different guys. I've never seen such a mishmash.
Yeah, it's I'm a big believer. I'm a big, proponent of, it's not your five best guys are going to start. Like, you need to balance lineups a little bit. Like Kyle Harding last year was sixth man of the year in the conference. Kyle was one of our best players. Kyle was a sensational basketball player. And, we were playing around with it early, and we ended up just kind of staggering him and Sage's minutes and then playing them together when they're both kind of in their flow of the game. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, you got to have open and honest conversations with guys and just say, look, starting doesn't really matter. Like, we've had guys who have not started and been our leading scorers in plenty of games and played the most minutes. So it's just a conversation that's had, and just an understanding, hey, in certain situations we might go this route, in situation we might go that route, and it also, I think it helps keeps guys on their toes and keeps them ready and keeps them invested to a certain degree.
Yeah, Daryl Bowie a few years back at Ottawa never started a game there, but he was an All-American and Conference Player of the Year. So you don't have to be the starter.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's a testament to our guys and just anyone who's willing to make that sacrifice for the team, because at the end of the day, you can only start five, but most good teams have more than five good players. So just making sacrifices, which is what it's all about.
Coach, you're still a young guy. There's got to be advantages and things that are tougher for you being so young. What are the advantages and some of the things that you feel are tougher in the young? Yeah,
I think there are a lot of advantages, honestly. I think it's more advantages than disadvantages. I think I can relate to the players, decently well. I'm not buddy with them, but I can relate to them. I can talk to them. I can read their body language, I think, pretty well to a certain degree. And then, if we're doing a drill, I can kind of hop out there and play some defense occasionally, try to at least. So, just seeing that, and, sometimes when we've been lifting this preseason, I'll hop in there and lift. So just kind of just bonding. I'm not, just relatability, I think is the big thing that's been the biggest advantage. And then disadvantages, I mean, the only main one was really that first year, because I was kind of, I was a little more unsure of myself and was still finding my footing. And we had some older guys who were, maybe not acting the right way. And, so just figuring that out. But again, that worked to my advantage in the long run because I learned from it and I grew from it. And we haven't had that issue at all since, and I'm still, obviously there are a lot of fantastic coaches who have been doing it much longer than I have. So I'm still learning, and I've just taken on that mentality of, yeah, I might be younger and a little less experienced, but I'm just going to pour myself into it and just keep getting better. And I'm in this for the long haul. So just keep getting better, and hopefully we keep going forward as a program as well.
Yeah, I could imagine when you first started, some guys might have challenged you a little bit because I saw some pictures of you from Millsap. You were not only young, you looked young as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So they probably thought, "Wow, who's this guy?" Now you've been doing it a few years, you're established. But I think you're right. I think there's probably more advantages than disadvantages. But let's talk about the conference. You guys flew under the radar. The conference. When I say you guys in the conference flew under the radar to me. I owe an apology to your program and to the entire American Midwest Conference. It started because I always start my focus on who's in the top 25, and I don't think I'm the only guy that missed you guys, but you guys really flew out under the radar, and you surprised a lot of people.
Well, first off, apology accepted and apology not necessary at all, but I appreciate you saying that. And you're right. We were picked in the preseason coaches poll, like our conference coaches poll. We were picked to finish tied for 4th in the preseason. So I don't think really many people outside of our program kind of accepted or expected us to have the year that we had. But yeah, we just, I disagreed with when we finished tied for 4th in the preseason poll, but it is what it is. I guess that's what they thought of us, and we just had to go prove them wrong a little bit. Yeah, we did fly under the radar, but like I said, we had some we knew what we had. I had very high expectations for this team this past year, and the big thing was they just kept getting better, and they just kept growing together. And so, that's the goal, is to play your best basketball mid-February, late February, early March. And that's what we did. So we just kept our head down and didn't really, honestly, really, I never even talked about the fact that we finished tied for 4th with our team. We just tried to focus on just getting better and growing together. And that was really the only thing we were worried about.
That can be a big motivator. I've seen that with other teams in the past where there's picked 5th or 6th in the conference, and they kind of becomes locker room material for the rest of the season. Just talk about the conference, some of its strengths, and then you're gonna look different this season. You're adding Crowley Ridge, who was in the that Continental Conference, and then Mission, which is a school I'm not that familiar with. So just talk about the conference.
Yeah, I think it's as we I think proved last year, so it's a really talented conference. It maybe doesn't get all that much recognition, but Columbia was a really good team last year. Yeah. And they made it to the national tournament, and I think they took, was it Indiana Wesleyan to double OT in the first round at Indiana Wesleyan. So you don't do that on accident. They actually had one of I think their starting point guard was out for that game as well with an injury. So they're the real deal. They're really Thomas Brock does a great job with them. They're returning a lot of key pieces, including the Player of the Year, Colin Parker. So they're going to be really good again. William Woods, they were a really good team last year. They gave us a lot of issues last year. Coach Jordan Ashton over there is doing a great job, and that was year 1 for him last year at William Woods. So I think they're going to be very, very good again. So, it's going to be really good. And then Preston Ingram moved on to Maryville, I believe, in St. Louis Division II. But his assistant Taylor Jarvis took over, and he's really knows what he's doing, and he's going to be great as well. So, it's always, the last couple of years it's kind of been a 4-dog race. Those 4 teams have been kind of battling it out. And then, we have, some other very good teams who on any given night, any other team. And then you're right, Radden, Mission and Crowley's, who we played both of them last year, actually. Mission plays really good basketball. It's really kind of modern day. Probably, it seems like they're probably pretty data-driven, analytically driven, but just fast pace. They can all shoot it. Switch a lot on defense. So they're good. I mean, we had we beat them both times last year, but it was 2 really close games, that we really had to fight it out and win those games. So they're going to definitely be a really good team. And then Crowley's Ridge, we played them once last year, and, we won by 10, but, they competed really hard, and they got some size. and they're going to be able to compete. Night in, night out. They could win any game on any day. So it's going to be a good conference. We'll have 10 teams. Unfortunately, we'll only have one auto bid because apparently NAI rule is that because Mission was not NAI last year, there's like a 1 year period where they can still qualify for the national tournament, but the conference doesn't get the second auto bid,
Wow.
which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it is.
It's unfortunate.
For 10 teams, yeah.
Yeah, 10 teams, and that's proven last year. Some really good teams that can really compete with some of the top teams in the nation. So it's going to be a dogfight in the AMC like it is, but I'd expect nothing less. We've been doing it for 3 years. It's been a dogfight every year, so we're excited, and all these teams know each other pretty well, and a lot of returners amongst all the teams. So it should be a fun year in the AMC.
So just to give people a feel for the conference, it looks like you play generally Thursday, Saturday. Sometimes you throw in some Tuesday. And then you're in Conway, Arkansas. What's your longest drive and your shortest drive? Just to give people a feel for the geography.
Yeah, so we're the southernmost team in the conference. So most of our schools are St. Louis area. Missouri Baptist, Harris Stowe, St. Louis College of Pharmacy, Columbia, and William Woods are nearby St. Louis as well. So our longest trip is to Hannibal LaGrange, which is right, outside the border, the Illinois border. And that's about a 9-hour drive for us, probably.
Wow.
Yeah, not the most fun trip to make. But so that's our long trip. And then Williams Baptist and Crowley's are about probably a 2-hour drive, not too bad, just a little bit north.
Okay.
So we don't, it's not like we have a neighboring school that we can walk down the street and go play in our conference, but 2 hours isn't bad at all. So, no complaints on my end.
Definitely being on the edge of the conference makes it a little bit tougher.
But, it is what it is.
Well, are you excited for basketball to start? When are you guys practicing yet?
Yeah, we started practice on Monday, and I'm really excited. Obviously you never know what you have until you start playing, but you have an idea watching practices and getting to know guys. I'd say the thing that stood out with this team and this blend of returners and newcomers is, I think they're tough people who just, similar to last year, just have their priorities in the right place. That's what it seems like. You never know until games start and you really get to play it out. But I like what we have. I think we'll be definitely different than we were last year. But I think, similar to last year, I've very high expectations and hopes for this team.
You kick off on October 24th. Yep. And then on December, you got to keep guys from looking ahead to December 17th. Did you schedule this Freed Hardeman game after you lost there, or was that already on your schedule for the year? So are you going there, or are they coming to you?
So we have a home and home. So we're going to them, I think, November 17th, I believe. And then they're coming to us, I think, a month later on the dot. I think it's December 17th, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I see. I don't see that. Oh, yeah, November 14th you're playing them.
Okay.
And then in December.
Yeah, exactly.
So just for people who've been living under a rock, Freed Hardeman is the team that knocked them out, the eventual national champion. So, you probably got that game circled, but you can't really look ahead at that, can you?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, because we made it a point this year just to schedule just really, good teams in the non-conference to get us ready, again, for February and March, I think, just to test us and see where we are. And, Coach Stutz and Freed Hardeman, they knocked us out. They handed it to us a little bit in the national quarterfinal. And, we texted a little bit after, and obviously they won it all, and they're a sensational program, and he's a great coach, and just wanted to he reached out to me, and I said absolutely, let's get a home and home. So
awesome.
Credit to them. I appreciate them for doing that, and I'm glad we made it work. And because again, it's just all about testing yourself and playing against the best and preparing yourself for when the games really matter, and they're going to be obviously national champs last year, and they're going to be really good again this year, I predict. So, no, we're excited for that. But you're absolutely right. We can't overlook anyone. We can't just we got to circle that game and we forget about the games before
Oh
that.
yeah,
Because
I'm looking at your preseason. I mean, you got John Brown, Florida College, Weber. And then,
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
Williams was
Yeah.
in your conference, but you got a tough non-con.
No, so of our 10 non-conference games, 6 of those games were against or are against national tournament teams from last year.
Yeah.
So we got Freed-Hardeman twice. We got Philander Smith twice, who they lost at the Cumberlands in overtime as well in the first round. Just a really tough, and we played. There's always super tough. There's a tough, hard-nosed team who's going to give it their all every night. So we got Freed-Hardeman twice, Philander twice, and then Florida College and Weber International both made it last year, and Florida College made it to second round. And then John Brown they're always really good. They beat us last year. Actually,
they're always tough.
Yeah, just super high IQ and just a good team. So no, we have we've got a difficult schedule, and then we got Blue Mountain home and home, and then we've got Ecclesia as our home opener. We didn't want any easy games where it's just we win by 30 or 40 and we're just playing inferior opponents. Like, we want to play as many good teams as we can, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Like, as a coach and as a player too, when I was a player, you don't really, at least I don't really remember the games where it's like, yeah, we beat this team by 25. Like, I remember the games where it's a dog fight. It's the highest level of competitiveness, where every play matters and it's high pressure, and those are the fun ones. Those are that's why you do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So no, we're really excited about our non-conference schedule.
Well, for what it's worth, students there at Central Baptist and everybody around Conway, Arkansas, need to make your plans. Get out and watch this team play. They play an exciting brand of basketball. They get up and down the court. They get after it. You'll really enjoy it. NAI basketball, if people didn't know it, is the best entertainment value in America. You can see some of the best basketball for I don't know what you guys charge, but $10 or so is usually what it's about. And get out there and watch this team. So try to pack your stands.
Yeah, no, thank you. And CBC, the entire Conway community has been really good about that. And we don't have a football team. The basketball teams, is one of the prominent teams on campus, along with obviously all the other sports, which are doing very well as well. But no, they've been good. They packed it out. I mean, in our conference championship game last year, man, it was standing room only.
Awesome.
It was
That's
just
great.
an awesome environment. So hopefully we get that off the rip next year. Hopefully we get that from game one. Just people packing it out.
That'd be amazing.
But I appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time. As I said, I know it's a busy time of year. We'll talk more as the season gets going, talk some American Midwest and some Mustang basketball.
Well, thank you, Bill. As always, I really appreciate your coverage. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me, and love talking hoops with you. And yeah, anytime you want to talk, I'd love to talk. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. That's Sam Kohnke. He's the head men's basketball coach, Central Baptist. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, please like and subscribe this show wherever you watch or listen to it. It helps a lot. And if you have a question you'd like answered on the show, just send me a note at cascadehoopstalk@gmail.com or just shoot me a DM on Twitter. I hope you enjoyed the show. Enjoy your day. We'll see you next time. Yours truly, Billy D. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAI school, because NAI basketball is the best entertainment value in America.